All right, I just typed in my Christmas calendar, which most of you know about. And at this point, the only live events that I have are these live streams every Saturday for the remainder of the month of December. But I still have my 6-hour Christmas music compilation up on YouTube, and it's now over 560 or 550 views. It's almost 560 last I checked. I think it was at 559. So thank you for everybody who's been watching and sharing that video. That was really nice to see that it's continuing to be the #1 ranked video on the Harp and Wellness channel. So that's really cool. There is an album that goes along with that video if you would like to purchase it for offline use. That's available at harpandwellness.com, and you can find the link to download it on my Christmas webpage that I just posted the URL to. So if you're looking for gifts for people who like beautiful harp music, consider the album. So I also posted, thank you. I also posted a question, which is going to be our topic of discussion before I get to the harp music. And I have been asking today on my social media, do you think that indulging for the holidays is a form of self-care or a form of self-sabotage? So we think about this time of year being the time where we kind of allow ourselves to let go a little bit. We are a little bit out of routine. We tend to eat a little bit more junk food, maybe stay up late. When it's not COVID, maybe go out a little bit more. But especially though this time of year, when it's a year that's been difficult, like 2020, then a lot of times we can really need the self-care. So I was just thinking about, at what point do you indulge so much that it stops being self-care and it more becomes self-sabotage and more becomes escaping the things that are difficult or getting so out of your routine that it might be hard to go back to it. So I want to hear your thoughts. I know I have a couple people's thoughts already who responded to the poll that I put up on Instagram. But if you have any thoughts or opinions on the matter, type it in the chat box and I'm going to take a look and we'll discuss it a little bit further. In the meantime, I have my tea. Where is it? I have my usual cup of tea that I like to enjoy while I'm having these lovely relaxation sessions with you all. So cheers to you guys. I hope that your holiday season is going as well as can be expected. I'm glad you're here. I'm glad you're ready to enjoy some music for me. I definitely need to wind down a little bit. I've been working all day. I'm cramming to get one of my therapeutic music graduate courses launched that is going up the end of this coming week. So I was working on a bunch of editing pretty much up until about 25 minutes ago when I had to get ready for this. So I'm going to try and relax along with all of you. My mom just said, I need coffee. Well, then go get some. No, I mean... So once we have our little discussion on self-care for the holidays, I'm going to play a couple songs on my harp, as usual, about 15-20 minutes or so. And it's going to be some improvisation, and then I'll weave in some Christmas music, and we'll all just be able to breathe. I'll dim the lights again, so I'll have the Christmas lights behind me, and we will just soak in the peacefulness of the music that we all need so desperately right now. At least I do. All right, let's see what people are saying. So, is indulging for the holidays self-care or self-sabotage? So Anthony said it can be either for me, often both in the same year. Yeah, that's very interesting. If you want to elaborate on that, I would like to know what your thoughts are with that, because it really is kind of a blurred line more than people might think. And if we're not self-aware enough, we could keep indulging and indulging and indulging, and then all of a sudden we realize that we've gone too far, and then we have to backtrack. So that's why it's so important to engage mindfulness in your everyday life and to do your check-ins and ask yourself, why am I doing it? I'm going to talk a little bit about that intentions for the holidays and intentions for your self-care. But if you can have these checkpoints along the way where you think to yourself, why am I actually doing this? Am I doing this because I'm just overwhelmed with the Christmas spirit and I want this joy in my life? Or am I doing it to escape negative emotions or to bury those negative emotions? Am I doing it because now it's just the momentum and I already had 8 cookies, so why not a 9th cookie, right? It depends on the intent, and that intent comes from deeper within ourselves. Alex said, in non-COVID years, I like to indulge in a Christmas mani and a haircut, and I consider those great forms of self-care. However, as a dietitian, I find that overindulging in too much alcohol or sweets can be self-sabotaging. Yes, especially, yes, if it's a constant from Halloween until New Year's Eve. Right, the time period is also really important because, of course, if you have just one brief period of time, a weekend, or just on Christmas Eve, Christmas Day, then maybe it's not so bad because then you don't lose those habits. But what happens if you eat all the Halloween candy and then you get so used to that sugar that then you just keep eating the junk food, and then you start doing your holiday baking, you have Thanksgiving, then you have Christmas coming up, and it's just this constant thing. Then all of a sudden you're thinking, okay, I've been doing this for 8 weeks and 8 weeks of not doing things that are healthy for your body, it's going to start to impact you. A lot of my clients have difficulty with the slippery slope of food in the holidays. Yeah, definitely. But that being said, making those special Christmas cookies that you only have once a year and really enjoying them is self-care, right? Because you're fostering the traditions that bring joy. That's a really good point too. Every year for Christmas, my husband and I cook individual turkey pies for my family, and they are indulgent and delicious. And they're not super unhealthy except for the pie crust itself, but they are so heavy, and we make them only once a year. Of course, after that we have some leftovers, so then I do feel kind of gross afterwards having like 3 or 4 instead of just the one on that day. But we look forward to it all year long, and that can make it a very special tradition. So Anthony followed up. He said, yeah, intentionality, exactly. It's the difference between choosing to do something and just coasting along based on what's around, right? So if the cookies are there, are you doing what Alex is doing? Are you baking the cookies because you only bake them once a year and it's bringing you the joy of the season? Or are you sitting there going, well, there's a cookie, and you just keep eating the cookies? My mom's saying, I can't wait for the pies. I know. I start drooling just thinking of them. It's a bad thing. But yeah, so let's go back to this talk about intention. So I mentioned in one of my videos several weeks ago that I was going to make an intention for the holidays, and I hope that you did too. So mine was to be present and invite joy. So when it comes to indulging, if I'm present, then hopefully I'll have a better idea of if what I'm doing is actually helping me in the long run. Inviting joy should take care of the happiness part of it. So if I am doing something that brings me joy and then it stops bringing me joy because then it becomes that kind of coasting along mentality that Anthony was talking about, then if I'm present, hopefully I'll be able to catch that. But easier said than done. Of course, I thought of this because maybe I'm on my own slippery slope and maybe there are tons of cookies sitting in my kitchen. No, and I know we all kind of think of indulging as just being the food side of things, but like Alex said, it can be doing something for yourself, like getting a manicure, having a spa day, something like that. But it can also be anything. It doesn't have to be luxurious, so to speak. It can just be indulging in something that you really enjoy doing. So we love to go looking at lights displays, and we try to find the best lights displays in our 10 to 20 mile radius around us. So this is something that is not indulgent in a bad way. It's just good, clean fun. But again, do we do it because we've always done it and we feel like we have to, or do we do it because we really feel something ignite within us, right? So beyond just the intentionality of it is the response to it. How does it make you feel? So if you eat all of those cookies and afterwards you're like, wow, I am so full and I am never having sugar again, but you feel happy that you had this wonderful tradition, then that's great. But what if you eat all those cookies and then you're like, I feel awful. Like, I feel bad that I did that. I feel guilty that I did that. Then you run into issues because on one hand, should you even be feeling guilty, and why are you? And two, if you're feeling guilty, then do you want to still participate in that action? So there's a lot of depth to it. And of course, just in the first few minutes of this session, we're obviously not going to go into it because it could be a whole 1.5 hour, 2 hour lecture. But of course, I'm not going to do that. But I wanted to hear everybody's ideas about this because this year, so many of us are very desperately seeking joy. So it's just a nice reminder that just make sure that what you're seeking for joy is actually bringing you joy. Have that intention for the holidays. If your intention is also to invite joy, make sure that it's in this healthy, welcoming manner. Alex also mentioned overindulging in gift buying. Yeah, I mean, but it's interesting because, right, like you don't want to spend all this money. And of course, being on the receiving end of some of your gifts, obviously, like I don't want you to buy me too much. I want the gift giving to be something that's a joyous experience and not something that you're feeling like you're going to go into debt and feel stressed about, right? Because I don't want you gifting me stress because that's what it is. If you're stressed giving gifts, then you're indirectly giving the person stress because you're giving them this concept that you were not feeling your best giving them the gift, and nobody that receives a gift wants to feel that way. And Alex mentioned that wrapping gifts is her favorite activity, so it's self-care to wrap them. Yeah, and I know you mentioned the wrapping gifts last week too, and how relaxing it can be, and the cooking video that we did together, Alex talked about how the repetitive motions of chopping veggies, chopping fruit, cooking, mixing things, that can be calming to the nervous system because you're repeating this action. So mindful repeated actions like folding over the paper, taping it, tying the bows, it can actually be quite therapeutic. Right, the food mindset, not feeling guilty for those one-offs, but yeah, making sure that it's a deliberate choice. Yeah, all really good points. Well, thank you for sharing your opinions. I think that it's an important topic of conversation because we're basically in the middle of December right now, and as I always mention, we're kind of all along the spectrum of how we're feeling about this season because the season looks so different for so many of us. So finding the little things but not overindulging in them to the point where it's going to make us feel bad. There's always a limit. Very nice. Thank you. Thanks for sharing. All right, so I'm going to dim the lights and we're going to enjoy some harp music for reflection and relaxation. Anything that resonated with you during our discussion, you can meditate on that if that's comfortable for you or if that's something you'd like to do. If not, then just let the music wash over you. Just like last week, if any memories come up and you're feeling like they're too emotional, don't worry about it. Just lower the volume. take a little break, go get yourself tea or something, and if not, then if the emotions and memories that come up are good for you to focus on or to let in and then float back out of your mind, then let them do that. This is your time to relax. So whatever works for you is what you should be doing. All right. If anybody has any last chats, feel free to continue on with chatting, and I'll check it once I finish playing. And as always, just make sure that you're comfortable and you're in a state of mind and body that you can really let this music soak in and work its magic on you. let's see what is going on in the chat. Alex said, thanks for bringing up the topic. It's important to recognize the differences, yes, between self-care and self-sabotage. And focusing on what brings you the most happiness, right? In a real, genuine way. Very true. Very good points. Excellent. So I hope that you take what we talked about and think about it and try to find real, true, authentic joy during this rest of the holiday season. And yeah, all right. Well, of course, as you know, I am going live every Saturday, so I will be back next week with more harp music. So I hope to see you then, but enjoy the rest of your weekend and your week, and go and find your joy. Good night, everybody.